Welcome to Bold Voices, Soft Hearts, a podcast featuring stories of finding passion through pain. We're so glad you're joining us. Here's our episode for the day.
Welcome back to Bold Voices, Soft Hearts. I'm your host, Misty Coy Snyder, and I'm on a continuous, beautiful, and adventure-filled journey to connect with people who have also found their passion through pain. I share a little bit of my story in episode 1 of season 1 of this show, and I would love it for you to go back and listen to a little of what has brought me to this place. From actor to performer, and now advocate, writer, and podcast host, every ounce of this journey has been rewarding and filled with lessons along the way, all coming through pain and struggle. Today, I'm welcoming a guest that I have been a big fan of for, 18 plus years. This incredible artist has been in the music industry since she was 14 years old, touching people and blowing people away with her powerhouse vocals and relatable songwriting style. She won a Dove Award for her #1 hit, Blessed. She helped form a nonprofit in Nashville called Loving Nashville, which is an organization that walks with people experiencing homelessness and incarceration. She's also a wife and a mother to 2 beautiful boys, one of whom has Down syndrome that I got to meet and we'll talk about later. I cannot wait to dive into how we got connected. So without further ado, Rachael Lampa, welcome to the show.
What? Hello.
Hello.
We're doing it finally.
I know we're doing this. So you are tell us where you live and where you are on the globe right now.
On the globe? Okay. Physically? Okay. there's different, I'm in a different place at many moments throughout this podcast. That's called ADHD. I am in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. And you just got off a flight from where?
I was in Vegas.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Are you feeling any jet lag, or it's not so bad because it's just
No, it was a little over 36-hour trip. So it was very tiring, but the jet lag didn't have time to settle in. It was just like go, sleep when you can and go some more.
I hear that the travel bug, the travel goodness, and the travel stress, all the things combined. Yes. We're going to dive more into what you were just doing, but I'd love to start off in talking about sort of how we got connected, and I want to start from the beginning after that. So from your perspective, how did we get connected?
Yeah, I don't remember the post. There was some post on either end.
Yeah.
And you messaged me, right? Did you? But I think I liked a post of yours, right?
Yeah, I think
you're gonna have to
follow Happiness is Down Syndrome.
Yes, that's right.
And I saw your name.
That's right.
And as I said in my intro, I have been just such a fan of your music and your work for so long that I did a double take and thought, well, this surely isn't her. It can't be her.
Yeah, because had I announced that I was having a baby with Down syndrome,
I hadn't heard. I certainly hadn't heard.
Okay.
I had heard your music on the radio, and I knew, like, oh my gosh, that's Rachael. She's back. Like I hear her. Like,
right.
So just it stands out so much, and I was so excited. And then I saw your name on Happiness is Down Syndrome, and I feel like I reached out to you, and you responded, and I was blown away.
I couldn't believe it too. It was definitely, I think, maybe the first account that I followed when I found out that I was going to have Leo, and everybody that knew anything about Down syndrome were like, start following some really great, positive, like Down syndrome communities. And yours was the first one that I found. And so I just jumped on. I was like, all right, let's see what this is all about.
It,
And then you messaged me. Yeah, that's right.
it just blows my mind the way things like this happen.
Yeah.
Because I remember being, I think I've told you this, Rachel, but I just remember in college listening to your music, going through some tough stuff, probably a breakup,
Yeah.
probably like hard stuff, and just
Yeah.
like belting out your songs on the way to class.
Oh,
And literally, I never could have envisioned a world where you and I would be connected through our precious boys.
through this, right? Oh my gosh.
Maybe as a singer, maybe like in some alternate universe, but
Yeah.
like in this way, this
Yeah.
is what blows my mind.
Yeah.
So I want to hear, start from the very beginning. I want to hear about you growing up, um, and what sort of drove you to, gosh, start singing and being a huge deal at 14. Bring us to
Okay.
that, please.
Okay. So I was born in Ann Arbor, Michigan, but I only lived there for like 5 years. Then we moved to Colorado, and grew up my whole childhood in Colorado. I have three siblings, and my dad is an immigrant from the Philippines. Um, and we had this blended kind of family in Louisville, Colorado. It's right outside of Boulder,
Okay.
and we all just kind of had our own things. And I loved like sports and music. I just like, we were just like trying to figure out who we were as kids and as in a family of six. And I pretty immediately was like, oh, music is it. Like I could not shut my mouth, honestly. I was, oh, it's weird because I was also shy, but I was annoying. Like, I mean, I just was like singing all the time. Singing at the dinner table, I like would get like in actual trouble, not like,
Yeah.
it's like, it's not funny anymore, Rachel.
Yeah, like
Just
funny.
chill out. Yeah, yeah. And I remember I would like sing my karaoke songs out my window. Oh my gosh, my iPad is crazy. Sorry. I would like sing out my window and just like do the whole thing. So, little music like found me very early, and I just kind of sang wherever would allow me to come sing. So coffee shops, churches, national anthems at games, and all that. And I wanted it from a very early age. And when I was 14, I was invited to just sing at this. It was kind of like an after show for some Christian artists, which I didn't grow up on Christian music. I grew up Catholic, and there just wasn't a lot of like exposure to like Christian music. And also kind of being in Boulder, Colorado, it's not as easy to find or not as popular to listen to there. So I kind of knew like the big names, like Michael W. Smith, Amy Grant. Yeah. So actually that night, I later found out because I knew I was going to sing at a coffee shop. I was like, cool, we'll sing at a coffee shop. And they're like, it's Christian music. And I was like, okay, Christian music. What is that? So I got my karaoke tape to The Preacher's Wife soundtrack.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like this is in the movie, it's all at church. So yeah, this is Christian music. So I just like sang the soundtrack. And the other thing is like I didn't understand like coffee shop culture, and so I like had this big purple shiny dress on, like no
subtle
vibes. Yes, exactly. No subtlety at all. It was like I'm a diva in a coffee shop. And so I wore this big bright dress and I sang like big loud songs, not like chill coffee shop songs.
Yeah.
But it ended up being like the after show for Amy Grant and Michael W. Smith. And
Wow.
we were, of course my mom was like, what? And it sort of was kind of like back in the good old days, like it was 1999.
Yeah.
So I am 17 years old
Right.
right now.
Yep.
I was what was I was 14, I think. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was 14. And it was like the whole thing where you step off stage and some guy, business looking man, shakes your hand and says, "Hi, I'm
Yeah.
with record label, and you know I want to meet with your family." And so that kind of started our whole journey of talking to labels and getting wrapping our minds around Nashville and the Christian music world.
Yeah.
I was, a believer, but I was a baby Christian. Like, I was still very much trying to figure it all out. And so, it was definitely like a big shock and a big, like, major, like, life turn for my whole family, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And what was it like? I mean, being basically you were thrown into the deep end, like
yeah,
as a baby. So what was
yeah.
it like?
I think I just didn't have anything to compare it to. Like I knew what it would like what it looked like to go on stage and
Mm,
to go on a TV show or something like that. Just from the outside, it's like, okay, when you become a professional singer, you do these things.
right.
And so I just kind of fell into it.
Yeah.
My mom was always with me or my older brother. Um, and we just kind of like shuffled our way through it. And I in some ways, in a lot of ways, we were not ready and had no idea what we were doing. But in some ways, I'm really grateful for that because we weren't coming in with like this, like, my mom was not a momager, she
Yes.
was a mom,
Yes. Yeah.
and we didn't speak the language, so it was like we had to just kind of lead with our hearts and do the best we could with how what decisions we made. I was very involved in sports at my school, and so it was like I would fly home from really big shows. I'd either
Wow.
fly early or I'd skip these shows and I'd fly back for our football games, our
Oh my
Friday
gosh.
night football games. Yeah, and to go sing the national anthem at our football games. And I remember I sang at Miss Teen USA in 2000, I think yeah, it was like the year 2000. Yeah. And I missed there was a rehearsal. There was 3 days long. First day was rehearsal, second day was rehearsal, third day was the show. And I flew home on the second day so I could go to my first day of high school,
Oh my,
and like,
wow.
so these things were probably not smart or like business savvy, but there were just things that we were like, well, I'm definitely going to the first day of school and I'm definitely going to our rival football game. So I'm really grateful for those calls that we made early in life. So yeah, I think, in a lot of, just to answer your question, in a lot of ways, it was a huge, deal. Like it really shook up our normal, but at the same time, I think we really fought to keep normal.
Well, and it sounds like you guys were pretty grounded for having such a like, I mean, life altering sort of, I mean, there's not too many people that get approached at a coffee shop show to say, hey, like we want to, I mean, so that's a very unique experience. Like
Yeah.
most people who are listening to this would be like, dang, if that was me, I'd be like, showbiz.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you guys were pretty grounded. Like that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. I've never really thought about that as much as I think part of it had to do with like I was not like a star child. Like people wouldn't see me and be like, wow, she's gonna be a star. Like I was just like a really dorky, very sarcastic, like, like normal kid. Like I
Yeah.
was a silly goose.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't like
Yeah.
this serious, like, wow. So I think again, like having that kind of background, having a family that I knew who I was in, and I knew that I belonged to, I think was probably what kind of kept us grounded and fun and young and all the things that we try to hold on to.
Yeah. So what happened in the years between like those early years when I knew you and was jamming out to all your music
Yeah.
to when I started hearing you again, right around the time Jed was born?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm so curious what happened in those years.
Yeah. Yeah. So much. So, so, where I left off in the story, I was like 14, 15. So I ended up signing a record deal and touring for 6 to 7 years,
Hmm?
pretty much nonstop, and recording and finishing high school and moving out of the house and just kind of like, the timeline of life of young life, but I was on the road all the time. I was just kind of, in those years where you're trying to build your identity and build who you think you might want to be. I think I was doing the same thing, but I was getting a lot of cues from the outside world
Mhm.
on what that could be and what everybody else would want me to be and what would make everybody like me, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
Um, and when I was about 21, I had like a pretty big identity, like freak out, where I was just like, I don't know my favorite color. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know my favorite restaurant. Like, it's always just like, oh, whatever everybody wants to do, it's fine. Everybody, well, what do you think? You know, what's easy? What looks good? So those are the small ways, but you can see how that would just those little moves and like over and over and over in your life, you just start to kind of really like lose grasp of like what makes me happy, where's God leading me? Where's God's voice? Because it just felt like a lot of other voices, were having more of an impact on me than what God was trying to say to me. So when it was time to turn in my next album, it would have been my fourth studio album. I just was like out of ideas. Like I just didn't know what I wanted to write about or if I would have the energy to go out there and sing about it. Like I just felt so just far away from God and far away from myself.
Mm.
And so I walked into my label, I think I was about 21. I walked in with my older brother, who was my tour manager at the time, and just said, "Hey, this is not some big business move. This is not like anything that you've done or anything. I don't have it in me, and I really need to leave this record deal and possibly leave music, because I just don't know who I am anymore." And so luckily they let me go, and it was this very some you'll a lot of times that does not go well, with breaking contracts and all that kind of stuff. And so it was a really beautiful part of the story to me, because it just was like, okay, some people really want me to be okay,
Ah.
and so they let me go, and then I had to start tail spinning, because it was like, okay, so I did that. Now there's no more voices coming from the outside. Now there's nobody telling me you're doing a good job. There's no applause anymore. There's no reviews. Luckily, there was no Instagram or Facebook back then, because I probably would have felt that very deeply, of like just the drop of like, approval.
Yeah.
And at that time, it was like approval equals value and equals worthiness. And I even like had moments where I was like, God is mad at me because I'm not doing the ministry thing that I'm
Hmm.
supposed to do with my gift, because everybody talks about like when God gives you a gift, you got to give it away, give it away, give it away. But I agree with that, but I also have to say, when you get given a gift, you also want to enjoy that gift and spend time with the giver,
Yeah.
of that gift.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times there's that pressure to get the gift, and then you're like, okay, all right, like I gotta give. And I really just missed that feeling of like, when I was 5, 6 years old, where I would like go in my room and sing, or go at the top of the stairs, and I'm sure you do this too, where you sing at the top of your stairs and it's awesome acoustics, and you just get lost in it, and you're just like, I can't believe this sound exists, and this sound is coming from me. And I missed that, and I didn't know at the time that I missed that. I didn't know that that's what I was missing, but eventually I realized it. So in that time of like, left my label, left everything, I think the first thing I did was nanny. I nannied. And I loved every second of it. I was obsessed with my little guys. And then I decided to move to LA. So I moved to LA. I started meeting with managers there, and I had no idea why, because I knew I was not like in a place to do music, but I just was like kind of reaching and just trying to figure out
throwing spaghetti on the wall. And
yeah. And it was just like a habit, it was just like a habit to be like, okay, I guess this is what I do, but I don't know. But God was so very ready for me to do that. And he met me there, and ended up meeting with Kevin Jonas, which is the dad of the Jonas Brothers, and he was like, you know what, I'm interested in managing you, but I'm managing Jordan Sparks right now, and we're going on tour with the Jonas Brothers. Why don't you come out and sing backgrounds, and we'll just get to know each other and try to figure out what your next step is, blah blah blah. So I ended up going on this tour as a background singer, and I loved it. Like, I loved being in the back. I loved what I loved the most was singing ooh and ah. and a couple words here and there, but like something about just like, it's just oohing and I was just like, this is the language that I was speaking and singing when I first found my gift. When you first start singing, you're just babbling, you're just anything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're saying. It doesn't matter if you wrote this prolific lyric, or if you're delivering this like amazing melody, like you're just back in your first love, and that's what I got to do on that tour. It was just like, it was just worship again, like in that way,
Yeah.
And enjoy the gift.
Yes. And probably had so much fun doing it. Did you find the fun again?
So much fun. The pressure was off. I got to like sleep in a lot. I didn't have to do all the radio interview, all those things as a teenager that I was like, I can't believe I'm waking up at 5 a.m. to do a radio interview. I'm so tired. And so, yes, there was something so beautiful and holy about that tour. I just fell in love with everybody on the tour, and it was just great. So I did that. I did a TV show called The Sing Off with some friends here in Nashville, just a random a cappella moment. 8th place, baby. We got in 8th place.
Nice.
We were on with Pentatonics. So the first day I meet all those kids, and they're all like, we know your music. And I was like, okay. And then they sang, and I was like, you're gonna win. And they're like, oh, okay. And so we all just had fun and enjoyed free food for a month, and watched the Pentatonics rise to stardom.
Wow.
Yeah, I know,
that's
right?
Story. Dang. No intimidation there. I'm singing a cappella with Pentatonics.
Right? I know. I'm like, sure. Okay. And it was the first time I'd ever sung a cappella in my life. So it was just like, they were teaching me how to read notes. I didn't know how to read notes. I just always just sang what I was thinking,
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a fun little caveat. I just kind of was rolling into these different, just trying to like, just kind of saying yes a lot. We were like, me and my husband were like in a yes season. We just got married right before that show. And we got engaged during the tour, the Jonas Brothers tour, and then got married right after. And so we just were like, let's see what's there. And then during all of this, my family started a nonprofit called Loving Nashville. And we walk with people who are experiencing homelessness or incarceration, just looking for a community in downtown Nashville. And it started very small and humble and turned into something very significant and powerful.
What was placed on what was the catalyst to having you want to start that?
So it was my older brother Ryan. He kind of was like the first one to just act on it and just do it. We grew up. My mom, used to like drop us off when we had extra food. We'd pack it up and she'd drop us off downtown Boulder and just tell us to go make some friends and see if anybody's hungry. And so she kind of early on in life kind of helped us to feel comfortable with that scenario. But it wasn't until we all were like moved out to Nashville and just my brother Ryan has an amazing, the whole story is amazing. But basically he met somebody that was sleeping on a porch near his house and befriended them and really learned a lot about what they wanted and needed out of life, and found that it was so much more than a handout, that it was about a friendship and some consistency, somewhere to go, somewhere to know people, some community. And so my brother, we started just kind of making mac and cheese, like in all of everybody would bring their crock pots and just figure out how to, make large amounts of food. We were early 20s, just trying to figure out how to feed ourselves. And so we just made more.
Wow.
And we, it just grew every week. My brother, really has led this whole thing this whole time. And, now every Monday, there's like a block party. We do a block party in downtown Nashville and feed about 300 to 500 people. And then throughout the week, there's other programs too.
Wow. Wow. I mean, that's incredible. And I feel like the journey, I don't know, I'm just seeing a lot of like beautiful I mean, so many could say like, "Oh my gosh, Rachel, you like rose to the top like at such a young age." And like you said, like kept grounded and kept like feeling it out and figuring out, okay, how am I going to use this gift and how am I going to use what's been given?
Right, right.
And to then go to some of the most marginalized, neglected, you know, hurting people in society and be like, I want to meet you where you
Mm,
are.
mm,
That must be like super humbling and like finding your place in that. Like
mm.
I can only imagine what that feels like each week breaking bread in
Yeah.
is such a powerful thing. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I think anybody that works in with the marginalized or with people that are struggling is that you find that you're growing just as much as you're giving, and you're learning just as much as you're sharing. And for me, I mean, I got to know who I was just through spending time with them, because it was a very cut to the point kind of community. Like, we just kind of learned a lot from each other. I learned a lot of things that I was doing that was like icky, like showing up and being like, hey, I got a friend for you to meet. His name is Jesus. And I know everything, like
Right.
instead of just loving someone first and allowing them to feel loved and seen before I come in with this big hero moment,
Yeah.
and that, so little things like that is just really allowed me to grow. And in the biggest way and the biggest kind of place that I really grew was in our prison ministry that we did. And we would go into this women's prison here in Nashville almost every day of the week. We would do a program,
Mm-hmm.
and I would go in every like 2 or 3 days, and it was called the Wild Ones. And we would teach about the wild ones of the Bible, Jesus being one of the wildest ones.
Yeah.
um, Jesus being one of the ones who pushed against in
Yep.
so many ways.
Yep.
Um, and being able to sit around with these girls doing AA and ACA, which is adult children of alcoholics, doing songwriting, putting together flower crowns, like just
Wow.
being together in a circle, telling all of our pain and secrets and fears. And that's where a piece of me got broken open that had kind of gotten sealed shut when I was early teens.
Mm.
And I started to see God as he is again, and as a God that is not holding grudges and holding not looking for a reason to be mad or or um disappointed, or to look at me with anything but 100% love, you
Mm.
know, because I was, helping to communicate that to these girls, and I wasn't believing it myself,
Mm.
and so I really had to come to terms with that, and really learn that through their vulnerability and their openness to that. I was able to be like, all right, fine, you know what, me too,
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
um
On
yeah,
this trip that you just got back from, you were doing that. You were singing in prisons, right?
yeah. And every time I go in, I'm like, I just remember, and if you listen to my last 5 songs, um at least 3 of them are directly written for these girls in the prison. And that you asked the question, 2 days ago, um, about where I was in that in between time. So at March 2020, we were in the prisons, and we were told we can't go in anymore because of COVID. And um, I really wanted to communicate to the girls one more time, and so I wrote them a song.
Mm.
And it's called Perfectly Loved. And I wrote it just to send back in there to them. I had no intentions of like coming back into the industry of music. But I wrote it, and my friends, and I sent it in, and then my friends were like, maybe other people should hear it too. And I was like, okay, but that means a lot of things, it means might have to do music again, and that might be my thing. And am I healthy enough? Am I healed enough? Does God want me to? And so kind of that's what started kind of my slow kind of entrance back into putting music out again.
Wow. So that was 2020
Yeah.
when I remember hearing that song on the radio, and I
Yeah.
did not know that story. I didn't know that it stemmed from that.
Oh, you
Uh,
didn't.
no, but how like incredibly powerful, because your superpower song has a motivation, but a beautiful heart behind it too. And I would love for you to share that, because
Yeah.
that's a connection.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's crazy because I'm singing all these songs about identity and about learning about God's love
Yeah.
as a, 30 something year old, and like trying to like all of a sudden like starting to realize that like God is different than I thought he was. He's
Mhm.
better than I thought he was. His love is a lot different than the love that we see every day on this earth. And so I started let's see. So I put out some of these songs about learning about God's love, about my identity and my worth. And then in 2022, I found out I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And I had my other son, Jackson, he was already 6 years old at this point. And so we were like, okay, we're doing this again. I'm 39. Was I 30? I think I was like 39.
Uh-huh.
No, I wasn't. I was 37 or 8.
Okay.
Anyways, I was geriatric.
I'm in that club, girl.
I know. And so, I, am a few songs into putting songs out, and I have this baby, and this baby has Down syndrome. And I, you know, instantly am like, oh man, I'm going to write a lot of songs about you. But I also was like, this is what I've been healing up for, you know, like this, it wasn't for me to, and I think this is a byproduct, obviously, like the music and the impact that the songs have had on people. But I definitely, know that like I had to be healed to have Leo, and to be able to like offer him, this relationship of unconditional love, unconditional, um just like everything I have is is his, it's Jax's, it's, to be able to do that, and not worry about what the world thought, and what who all was watching and who all cared about it. It didn't matter. It was just loving him was all that mattered. And yeah, so he obviously came into our lives and just was like, okay, I'm about to splash light there and splash light there, and I'm about to slow down time and draw you in. And as I was kind of starting to write my first song about him, I just knew that it came really quickly. The title, I was just like, I know it's going to be called Superpowers. And because all of my friends around me and my co-writers too, my co-writers, Ethan Hulse and Andrew Ripp, we write a lot of our songs together, and they're very, very, they know Leo very well. We're around each other all the time. And they're like, yeah, this is going to be the easiest song we ever wrote. We're just going to name off all the ways that he has changed all of us. And all these things that may look like setbacks or flaws or abnormalities. Those are the superpowers, and I know what I'm talking about, and
100%.
if you know, and so yeah, that's Superpowers.
We're really in this special club that like nobody like is outside the door knocking on the door, but when you're inside, you're just like, I almost like lose words to describe it.
Yeah.
But I think, Rachel, when you and I, so just to give a little bit of background, and we are going to share some more of this in another podcast with Rod's Heroes, Miracle. So we're going to have a part 2. But just before we sort of close out, one of the most special parts about meeting you back in June. So I went with Rod's Heroes to film Rachel's family with Made with Love, and a documentary coming out about your gorgeous family. And one of the most impactful things I feel like we talked about several times that is such a connection between the two of us is this performative, and so much of it is probably the fact that we were actually performers, but but I don't think that has to be the case. I think that can be that way in achieving in school and your job and athletically and like in all
We've
sorts.
all got our versions of it.
Where we're thinking, I've got to earn this. I've got to earn the love and the respect and like you said, like trying to find who we are through that applause or through that like award or through that whatever, and how our boys have literally turned that on its ear. It's like a counterculture. And how sweet is God to give us these boys?
Yes. Yeah. God and them knew where we were weak, and they are coming in with no performance, no need for any approval. They are just fully themselves.
100%.
And we are fully in love, and there's, it's just, it totally just turns it all around. It just answers every question right back to us.
It totally does. And it's just so sweet because the superpower part of it is that I think that God has given us all such unique gifts and things that other people would look and be like, wow, that's a superpower of yours.
Yeah.
Our kids just come in and they're just like you said, just unapologetically,
Yeah.
here's my cape and I'm just going to own it. Right.
Yeah.
And you might not understand it, but that's who I am.
Yeah.
It's just so refreshingly beautiful. And I'm so thankful and honored to hear your story in this way and to for me, it just feels so full circle, and we're not even like halfway through our lives, girl.
I know. We got so much to go.
And I mean, it really feels full circle to me. And it's just such a gift to sit with you today and to just hear this piece of your life and to hear more in the next episode. But I'm so grateful for you, Rachael. I'm so grateful for what you're doing with your nonprofit and for the ministry that you have on a broad scale. For those of us listening to you on the radio, or for those, getting blessed by being literally fed by you and your organization, but on a I think even more beautiful scale, the ministry that you have with your family and people closest to you.
Yeah.
That is, I know, a passion of yours to feed your family, right?
The family of God, even.
Yes. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your story, and thank you for your gifts.
Thank you for what you are doing and what you are speaking into the world and who you are and what you represent. It's been really helpful for me. It's really blessed me a lot.
Glory to God. Thank you, friend. All right. Well, thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to Bold Voices, Soft Hearts. We hope you'll share this episode with a friend, leave a review, and keep using your voice to spread light in the world. Bold Voices, Soft Hearts.